Well, bet y'all never thought I'd be doing this again, now did ya? Welcome to, I don't know, third evening stream that I've ever done. I honestly don't know. It's been so damn long I've lost count. Well, as you guys have noticed, I haven't been streaming a lot lately. Haven't been very active online. It's because every damn game I have played over the years has gotten to simply unenjoyable. Either because of updates that they think that those who have created the games think will make them better or more enjoyable, or simply because I am burned out. Or because they're broken. And basically, in short, it's a combination of all three. Good example, Stormworks 1.0 update. Supposedly one of the best updates that they've hyped everybody up for. You guys have heard me, what I've been saying about it in texts all across Discord and YouTube. You can check my community posts on it to see what I mean. But you can check the reviews as well. Take note, all the positive ones are before the 17th. Yeah. I'll tell you what pisses me off and what's made me so damn miserable. One thing is Stormworks was one of the few games I still played outside of YouTube. And they've basically the devs have gone and made it to where you can't do a damn thing with it. Like, they've removed the progression, they've removed the normal, they basically ruined the game at pre-release. In other words, ships I had that would normally show signs of going really fast are now slower than snails. I lag to the point where I can't even move without having anything spawned in. And in other words, they've also removed the thing that basically made the game so famous and made it have such a damn following. Custom missions. And I'm not talking about the ones that you would have in career mode that already spawn in. No, I'm talking about the kind of missions that allowed you to spawn giant ships such as Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth. And all the other new ships that were released before 1.0. Stormworks has basically removed that. In other words, in a more simpler term, they basically want you to have to code scripting for the game just to spawn your ships. Like, Jesse and I's most popular ship, Edisto 2, is no longer operational, nor can it actually be spawned in unless you make an environmental mod for it. And this is just a temporary fix, and I'm pretty sure, knowing how Stormworks dev has been, they'll probably remove that too. And here's my reason as to why I think they've made it harder to make custom missions, and it's simply this. They don't want people building giant ships in the game. Not anymore. Something tells me they're basically for the end of the game to tell us. Like, the reason I say that, and you can tell, and the reason I say that is because the main propeller that would be used, the Titan propeller, which could only be used for giant ships, they've basically gone and removed it. And I find that interesting, seeing as they've also removed the ability to make custom missions that allow you to spawn giant ships, such as Edisto 2, Queen Mary, Queen Elizabeth, and I could go on and on for the others. What these idiots who don't realize is that those giant detailed creations and other creations that people have made that required missions, those are what made up the bulk of the gameplay. Those are what made up the bulk of the community. That is what brought the bulk of people into the game. That's what made the game so popular, was the fact that you could build these grand giant ships, these grand giant creations, and you could show them to people, and basically, in other words, it made it to where you could recreate something that no longer exists in real life. Like Queen Elizabeth II in real life burned. It ended up burning in Taiwan, and somebody was able to rebuild it to life-size scale in Stormworks. And now, that's gone. That and every other creation that everybody has made that required a custom mission just to spawn it, just to use it, that's now gone. A lot of Jesse and I's newer ships that are bigger than, say, SS Atlanta require missions to spawn them. Those are now gone. Those missions are now gone. The ships can only be spawned via an environmental mod, and knowing my luck, and knowing how everybody else's luck has been so far, Stormworks is probably going to go and remove them. Hell, for all I know, they might make it to where you can't even modify the workbench anymore. That's how people are able to build these ships, is they're able to go into the game file and edit the workbench size to where they can build these big ships. But knowing how they treated me and everybody else, I don't think that's going to be around for much longer. So to those of y'all who have built giant ships, and Jesse, I hope you see this because this also concerns you, get them off Stormworks. Save whatever files you have of them and back them up. Because to be honest, I would feel better if somebody was able to take the time of the entire game that restores what you had before the release. Because it's much harder to make a giant ship now than it was a few days ago. You basically crash there as far as hosting servers. And I don't think it's any better on the internet servers either. But basically, way to go, Stormworks. You fucked up. Let the negative reviews tell you guys how you fucked up. I mean, even one of the more well-known shipbuilders, Aqua, left a negative review. Now, that tells you something. And I honestly think we're seeing the end of an era, in a sense, for Stormworks. Like, it's literally like the real-life end of an era for ocean liners. Like, pretty soon you won't see those ships again in Stormworks. You won't see the Queen Mary. You won't see the Queen Elizabeth. You won't see the Normandy. Because knowing Stormworks now, they'll probably have it to where you have no choice but to delete them off the game because there's simply no way to spawn them, much less run them. Hell, the optimization is so bad that I can't even spawn in the original Edisto, the ship that inspired Edisto 2, without it not running at a decent clip. Originally, it could go at 7 knots, and you could tell it was going fast. Now, it looks like it's going at 2 knots and hardly moves. Basically, and let me just tell you this. When I and a few other people voiced our complaints to Stormworks developers on their official Discord, they took away our permissions to where we couldn't actually send out messages. I got muted on their server multiple times because I was trying to let people know, hey, this isn't right. And, stuff that related to all this. And I think they were even trying to remove a lot of the negative reviews people were sending out. So that just shows you how the devs care about, how much the developers care about us, the player base. And it's simple. They don't care. They don't care about us. I mean, it's like that with every other damn game. Every other major game, the developers just don't care about their player base. All they care about is their reputation. Now, there are a few tiny exceptions, but they're about as rare as anything else these days. I mean, all in all, I mean, 1.0 has basically ruined Stormworks for me as a player and as a shipbuilder. I actually enjoyed the larger ships. Sure, they lagged me out, but you know what? That made it interesting. It essentially gave me a bit more of a challenge, in a way. And the other reason is it gave me a lot more to work on. Yes, it burned me out, but that happens with everybody, but still. I enjoyed seeing these giant ships because, Edisto, the original Edisto, it isn't a big ship. It could be more or less classified as like a yacht or something. Like, Edisto 2, on the other hand, is a proper ship. It's huge, it's taller than the player, and, I mean, you can get lost in it, just as you would on any other real-life ship. But, yeah. Basically, it's just, the game is now unenjoyable to me. Like, I no longer find any enjoyment playing it. Why I still have it, I honestly don't know. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm holding out on a hope that I really don't believe in, or something else. I don't know. But all I could say to the Stormworks developers, next time, listen to your player base when they're suggesting stuff, and actually take the damn time to listen to their critiques. Because if you don't have the guts to listen to the negativity that people are sending your way, or don't even have the guts to at least address it in a respectful manner, well, all I can say is like, watch out for the backlash, because it's going to be severe. And one more thing. When we as a community are suggesting stuff that we know would actually make the game better, and make it a bit more realistic, actually take the time to look at our requests instead of catering to 5-year-olds who prefer to see stuff being blown up. Because the vast majority of the player base on Stormworks originally was people who were very talented at building things. People who would like to work with their hands. People who were interested in recreating things from the past. People who loved to build things, to build ships, to build planes, trains, automobiles. I mean, the vast majority of people who played the game have major talent when it comes to shipbuilding and design, because I follow the reason I say that is because a lot of the Stormworks creators I have followed have built very, very detailed and very, very high quality models over the years. Good examples are GB Danny, JP Ships, my friend Jesse Gillette. I can go on, but then I'd be here all night now, wouldn't I? Those people are the people you should be looking towards more, because that is the higher player base. There's more people on Stormworks who actually would prefer to build ships rather than blow them up. Yes, they have them there where you can sink them, but that makes it all the more interesting. But the fact is simply this. The percentage of people who actually build ships and other creations in Stormworks, and the percentage of people who can build them well, like professionally, those are the people y'all should be looking towards more. Those are the people that you should be catering to, because that is over 90% of the player base. And they're the ones you should be listening to in regards to suggestions and improvements to the game. Because a lot of people have made a lot of suggestions that I know personally would have actually made the game better. But what did y'all do? Y'all only looked at one or two of them, but ignored the other, 95% of them. That isn't the way to make a game better. If anything, that'll drive your player base away in time. And all I can say is good luck. Because pretty soon your game is going to just be as deserted as every other game that has been wrought with broken updates and failed promises. And believe me, there's plenty of them out there to show what I mean. And I mean, basically, it didn't just Stormworks, y'all. I mean, I know y'all wanted me to do an evening stream, but unfortunately, there's more negative stuff that I have to get off my chest than anything positive. All I've been having to deal with recently is nothing but stress and just absolute anxiety. That and also a ton of boredom. Because, like, I've basically gotten to where now I'm absolutely burned out on everything as far as Roblox is concerned. And I mean, with Jesse moving on with his life, college-wise, there's not much I can do in the way of recording. I don't have any recording software. And y'all see how I've streamed, and it's terrible. So, I mean, that's the reason I haven't been on... I mean, that's the reason I haven't had much of an online presence film-wise. But, I mean, you know, that's the thing about life. You don't get to have a say in any matter. You don't really have much of a choice. In other words, the main thing you're deprived of is simply this: happiness. That's what I've been deprived of. It'll do that to everyone. Exactly, Via. I mean, hell, because of what they've done to Stormworks, Jesse and I actually don't even have anything to record on anymore. And I can't even record on Rails Unlimited now either, because that's broken too. Well, not broken, but still, they've made it to where it's, again, like Stormworks, gotten unenjoyable for me. But the only good thing about them is they still have a chance to fix that. Because the problems, there's not that many problems, and I've actually can name on my finger what it is. For one thing, they need to have a bit more optimization, because I can only run the game fast with the graphic quality down. I can't even have it running at half without it lagging. And the other thing is simply the scenic view tool. Since they've changed it to where you can no longer pivot it to follow the train in a stationary mode, it's gotten to where it will glitch to where the only view you're seeing is the different textures used for the train. That happened earlier this evening. But, yeah. Basically, like, to the guys, to Coaster, to Metro Train, to y'all, whoever programs the, what do you call it, the camera thing in Rails Unlimited. Yeah, I'm in bed, you can tell because I don't have a shirt on. Sorry. But, yeah, like, to the guys who develop or code Rails Unlimited, I mean, there's a chance y'all have a chance to repair the scenic view thing, because since y'all have it to where you can't move it, it's actually called, I mean, the way y'all have it to where it can't be moved while it's stationary is causing it to actually glitch to where you don't actually see the train passing through any kind of scenery. Instead, you see the camera glitched into the train and you don't see anything. That happened when I was using 4449 and 844. And I actually preferred when you were able to move the camera in stationary mode in, like, scenic view, because a lot of rail fans actually, when they set their cameras up trackside, that's what they would do when filming trains. Like, with the railfan videos you see on YouTube, you see them, all kinds of railfans doing low to the ground shot, low angle shots, with the camera pointed up to the train diagonally. I've done that. If you look at my live streams, you'll see it. You see them panning to follow the trains, say around a curve or around a straight stretch of track overlooking a beautiful piece of scenery. I've done that, and I enjoy doing it because, and it actually helped me and helps me in real life too, because it lets me practice in game what I would be doing in real life. Like, that helps my like, for instance, when I'm able to do a panning shot in Rails Unlimited, you know, it with the scenic view tool, it actually helped improve a lot of my the camera angles I would use filming the real thing, the real trains. Like, it helped me out a lot, and it was easily vice versa. But I can't do that anymore, and I actually can't get a decent shot. So, because of that. So, that's the main thing I hope can be fixed with Rails Unlimited, because, I mean, it really wasn't a problem. Like, being able to move the scenic view camera while it was stationary wasn't a problem, and if anything, it actually made that type of camera view more realistic, because, you know, because a lot of times when I film trains, yes, I keep the camera stationary, but occasionally I do pan the camera to follow the train. Like, I pan it when the engines pass, and then I pan it when the last car passes. And I actually liked doing the same thing in Res Unlimited, because it gave what I was trying to show in a first-person perspective a bit more realism. And I can't exactly do that now. So I'm just hoping y'all could at least try and fix that. But, yeah. Now, as far as any kind of good news, well, I've gotten to where I've gotten a lot better at driving. Because of me having the more time now, since graduating high school, I've had more time to practice. And I think, from what my grandmother and I were talking about, tomorrow we were going to try and see if we could head up to, oh God. God dang it. You know, short-term memory first thing to go. We were going to try and head up to two small towns that were, up along the old Gainesville Midland Railroad. Both. And, well, it'd give me a chance to see two other small towns in Georgia that I didn't know existed until recently. And plus, it'll give me another chance to break the truck in, because it's a long way. It's a long drive, so hopefully it'll help me get more driving experience. And speaking of that, my driver's test is coming up in the next 3-4 days. And I'm just hoping that, I just hope to God I pass it. I think that's what's made me so anxious. It's like, I'm worried I'm going to fail. And this is something that's been a problem with me all through school, because, in other words, it's like, all throughout school, whenever we had tests, I was worried that no matter how much studying I did, I'd still fail. Except, this ain't a damn test you can exactly, fail and just move on from. It's not that simple with driving. Driving is for life. You can't exactly live without it. Unless you were like Hobo Shoestring, who, Unless you were like Hobo Shoestring, who just rides trains everywhere. That's different, but it ain't exactly an easy life. I know that much. But what life is ever easy, right? Unless you're rich. And, Sometimes I'm actually glad I'm not. Those who are rich don't know what it's like, to have to work hard to make ends meet. Like, yes, I don't have a job at the moment, but you know what? With how uncertain everything is due to this whole outbreak, it's probably better that I do wait. Because between that and the fact that I'm still learning how to drive, even if I got any offers, I wouldn't be able to go to them. In other words, I wouldn't be able to go and even do like an interview because I wouldn't be able to drive to the job site. You know it? Couple that with, again, the uncertainties that have come along with this outbreak. There's really no, I guess you could say, options for me right now. Essentially, I've been, in effect, sitting idle, waiting. And the fact is simply this: yes, I do want to get a job. But it's just, with how uncertain everything is right now, I'd feel better waiting and seeing what comes up later. Because if I tried getting a job now, who's to say I wouldn't get it? Let me rephrase that. Basically, it's like, if I got a job now during a pandemic, then it could be a case of where 1 minute I have it, and then the next, I come in the next day and find that I'm out of the job, like, whatever. So, yeah. You can see why I'm waiting, because, I mean, a pandemic is like a really bad time to try and find employment because there isn't exactly any employment. So, I mean, it's better to wait and let the madness blow over instead of trying to go for it and find you're out of, and end up out of the job. You know it? Erica, all I can say is good luck. Also, another thing for the Rails Unlimited devs, if any are watching, could somebody let them know I'm streaming and needed to talk to one of them? Basically, I don't really know exactly who modeled 4449, but I'm not mad. I'm just pointing something out. 4449's forward pilot truck is missing off the engine. It's not there. I noticed that whenever I spawned it in, it wouldn't show up. Like, the rest of the engine's there, and it looks beautiful. The consist is fantastic, but the forward lead truck, the forward guiding truck, with the 4 smaller pilot wheels, that's that's missing off the engine. It's like non-existent. So I mean, it's a bit of an issue. So yeah, I'm just wondering if y'all could try and maybe fix that before the engine goes into premium, because I don't want y'all getting any backlash from people who say 4449 doesn't have its pilot truck. That's going to be really bad. But yeah. Coaster Nerd, what are you doing? Yeah, but it's in the game, like, limited, for a limited point. No, I'm not, like, by the time I'm actually able to have the energy to play it, it's probably going to be premium. Oh, well. That is another thing, too. That is another thing. They need to have more of an option for vintage equipment. Basically, like, I'd like to see more of, antique pieces of rail equipment brought into the game. Not all at once, obviously. Just maybe, like right now, like with the Daylight, one train every so often, like 1 or 2. But, like, the fact is I don't have any Robux, and I know a lot of other people don't exactly get it often either. Not everybody's going to be able to get the trains that are premium, if, like, they don't have enough Robux. Now, I'm not saying that that's like a problem or anything, but it's like a good majority of people don't have any of the in-game currency or have a hard time trying to get it, you know? Yeah. It's fine, Doge. Really, another thing. I was actually wanting to try and recreate what they did in 1989 to celebrate Los Angeles Union Passenger Terminal's 50th anniversary. And Mark One had a video on it, and a lot of other major rail fan film companies had video coverage of it back then. I remember seeing it on DVD much later on, like, I guess, what, 10, 12 years later, 13 years later. I couldn't have been more than like 5 or 6, but I was hooked. Heck, Mark One Video's production of the Strasbourg Railroad is what introduced me to that railroad museum. And since then, I've only been able to go to it once. And all I have to show for that is like really, really bad, cringy video footage. I mean, it's terrible. It's really bad. Oh my God. I mean, really, if any of y'all if like the close to 2,000 people who've subscribed to this channel had have been here on this channel 5 years earlier, oh God, I believe the term cringe fest would have fit perfectly. Because back then, I was recording everything game I was doing, like, and bear in mind, it was unprofessional as hell. Like, with Minecraft, oh God. Like, I got rid of all that stuff years ago. Like, I had videos from Folkestone, my last trip to Folkestone, where I was, I guess you could say, quote-unquote, high on ADHD medicine, where I was acting like a damn buffoon, not holding the camera steady at all. Keep in mind, that was back when I had a little Sony camera that I absolutely wore out. But, yeah, those videos are stuff you'll never find again. Those were removed, sent straight down into the shredder years ago. I mean, some of the oldest videos you'll find, like the footage I got from Strasbourg and from the first trip to Cass, are about the oldest videos that are still on the channel as far as any trips go. But as far as gaming, I think the oldest video I've got is something I did back on Minecraft. The oldest Roblox video I've got is from, I think, 2017? It's the first collaboration I did with Jesse, and again, really bad filming. Really bad filming on my part. Smack, I mean, exactly. Thank you. Well, I mean, the fact is simply this. The reason my videos are unprofessional is because, well, because the internet the only internet I have to connect to isn't strong enough for any kind of editing software or streaming software. Believe me, I would love to have the kind of, streaming capability that you see like Sunday or Mr. Beast or for Spammels or any of them. I'd love to have the same streaming capabilities that they have, but keep in mind, I'm pretty sure their internet bills are through the damn roof. And let's face it, not everybody makes the kind of revenue they make. I sure as hell don't. Hell, I don't even have any kind of merch, really. Yeah, imagine that, a channel that doesn't have any kind of merchandise. Oh well. But it's like, what would be the point? You know, I mean, I'm not exactly that well known, and to be fair, I mean, I've said it many times. I'm actually glad that I'm not, as well known as, say, like Frantic or Komodo Gaming and all that, because well, I wouldn't be able to see anybody who's trying to tell me something, and I don't want to be like that kind of well known YouTuber who just overlooks everybody's chat messages, because I like talking to people. I'm a social person when I'm not feeling miserable all the time. Like, see right here. Doge, I personally don't think that would be a good idea. Because, like, I mean, the fact is simply this. There's a lot of things I'd love to do, but I just simply can't do because, well, life. But, yeah. Like, the thing is, I'm hoping the first thing I need to do is try and pass this dang driver's test. And I mean, I'm worried, like, that's the thing. I'm worried that I may fail because I don't know what the instructor's going to do. And let me tell you something. I'm taking it in Toccoa, Georgia, and that's where my grandmother on my dad's side grew up. That's her hometown. And we drove pretty much all over the place in Toccoa. But I'm still worried the dang instructor is probably going to pull a fast one and take me down roads that I haven't driven down. But, oh God, I'm nervous and I'm worried. Because learning to drive with your parents is one thing, but trying to do it with a person who's observing you, so that they and other people can say this person can drive. That's really damn nerve-wracking, because it sets the bar far higher than anything. God, I wish I could get the words out that I'm trying to say. I mean, basically, having somebody testing you to see just how good you are at driving, I mean, that sets the bar far higher than anything I've set to. And it scares me. It scares me because I'm worried I'm going to fail, that I'm going to make some little mistake that'll basically, make the person think, oh, this kid doesn't have any kind of experience driving. He's going to be failed, That's what worries me, because it wasn't exactly an easy thing to get my license. Like, my mom and I had to deal with the DDS thing being absolutely flooded with people trying to get their driver's license. Because over here in Georgia, the governor let everyone essentially get what's essentially a quote-unquote free pass to get their license. So as a result, everybody jumped on the bandwagon and absolutely flooded their websites to where, I mean, it took my mom a lot of time and a lot of frustration to get my license. And we thought, okay, so I have it, and I didn't have to deal with all the problems and red tape that come with it, but nope. A lot of other people weren't exactly too happy that they were letting people like me go out and just drive. So they made it to where you had to take the driver's test by September 30th, 2 weeks after the 22nd. That's where my test falls on, and it's an absolute miracle that I was even able to get it to where I could take it then, because all of the Department of Driver Services locations here in Georgia are booked until late October, and I think even into early November or January. Okay? In other words, the other people who got their license early are most likely going to have them resigned back down to learner's permits, because there's simply no way to get everybody through the driving test by September 30th. There's literally no way to do it and to get everybody through the testing before September 30th. There is simply no way to do it. There is just too many people who signed up. Basically, everywhere here in Athens and its surrounding area was booked. There was no openings. Toccoa is the only place that had an opening, and my mom and them took it, and I'm really glad they did. Because, to be fair, this has made it to where I've actually been able to drive more now than I've been able to drive in the past 4 years. Because I actually started practicing back in 2016 with a little black Honda. A black four-door Honda. Which has now basically become a junk car. It's since been junked. Thanks, Papa. Thank you for that one, man. How it was like this. I'd get to where I'd drive for a few weeks, 1 month, get to where I felt confident, got to where I felt comfortable driving, and then suddenly, bam, something comes up and I can't drive anymore and end up no longer driving for like 6.5 months. And then by the time I start back, I have to regain all the confidence, regain the experience. Basically, I have to learn everything all over again and build that confidence back up. This time, it's been different. I've been driving more now than I have in any of the previous years. I've been driving more in the previous months. Like, y'all have seen the videos of my drive. I mean, hell. I filmed so much on some of these drives that I've had to condense the footage of, just the driving into a time lapse. And of course, some of the videos you've seen me uploading recently, the most recent being that old house along Barnett Road, is stuff I filmed while I was out driving. I was able to pull off to the side of the road and I was able to drive, to film all that. But, don't expect that to be a daily occurrence. That's literally only when I had time. Alright, see you, Smack. Doge, I'm going to just tell you something. You can't force people inside. Let me just tell you something, Doge. Doge, I'm just going to put it to you this way. It doesn't matter who you get elected into politics. At the end of the day, it's all the same. In other words, the reason I say that is because it doesn't matter who you elect into politics. Everybody who's going in is only going in for their own gains and their own agendas. They're not going in for us. Anytime you hear a politician say, "I'll fight for you," how are you good? All I'm going to say is, buddy, what do you mean you'll fight for me? What do you know about me? Do you have any ideas to what I have to do every day? Like, how will you fix my problems? What do you know about what I have to go through every day? Y'all don't, those in politics don't know that. They don't know what the people who vote for them go through. They don't know what we fight for. What we fight for is, being able to actually have a chance to relax and have a chance to spend time with those we love and care about. We all spend our days working 7 days out of the week, with maybe a chance at some point during those 7 days, a small chance, to where we can actually have a chance to just wind down and relax with those we love and care about. We only get a small chance each week to be able to go and do what we love, and then it's right back to the daily grind. Those in the politics don't know what that's like. I'm sure it's just as stressful, if not more stressful, but at the end of the day, they get paid more than we do. And all they care about is really the money, the power, and themselves, They don't care about those who vote for them. They could care less about who voted for them. It's not. I mean, you don't see them doing anything to improve our lives, do you? No, you don't. That's what I feel about politics. It's just the guys and gals going in it really are just in it for their own gain, really. I mean, occasionally you will find maybe, and I mean on a very, very rare occasion, you may find 3 or 4 people who are in it and actually do know what it's like for us, the voters. You know, the middle and working class. You may get people who actually understand what it's like for those of us who are not as fortunate as they are, and yet they sympathize. And let me tell you, if we had more people like that in politics who actually knew what it was like to be in our shoes, then we'd probably be much better off. Or at least, you know, in a little bit more of a decent state. But, yeah. I... But, yeah. I know I normally don't say this, but is there a chance we could get the like ratio up to 12? Because there's 9 people watching and, well, considering what the anniversary of the event that took place a few days ago, well, you can kind of understand why I said 12 now, right? Oh, God. Joyce! Dang it, I blame you for this! Oh. Oh, God. God, Doge! Oh, God. And believe me, when I said earlier about the fact that I've been bored, like no joke, when I've been at my house, and not like here, when I've been at my house up in, say, like, you know, oh, for God's sakes. Basically what I said, what I mean by when I say I'm bored, it's like, whenever I'm at home during, like, Monday through Friday, like, I literally have nothing else to do. Like, apart from the chores that my parents have me do, you know, that's literally all I have. I can't, you know, I can't exactly drive up to Hull and watch trains because of those chores. Like, my parents and them expect me to get them done and to look after the house to make sure it doesn't, like, get robbed or burned down or something. But it's like, at the same time, stock inside. Well, y'all, if y'all are making me do all these chores and keeping an eye on the house and the animals, because I've got to do all the chores, I've got to keep the house in shape, I've got to take care of all of the animals we have, our 3 dogs, our chickens, hell, even my sister's guinea pig occasionally. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I can't exactly just go up and, like, walk down the street, you know? I've got to get all that done, and I just do it at my own pace. And again, since I've gotten burned out on most of what I, you know, play on the computer, well, I don't even use that anymore during the day. Most of the time, I'm just laying in bed like I am now reading. And if it ain't like a book, a physical paper book, I'm usually just reading something here on my phone that I'm able to pull up that interests me. That's literally all I've been doing at home when I've been at home. It's just... Alright, Via, wait, is the sound gone? Hold on 1 minute. Prepare for banging! Oh, God. Okay, just pretend what I just said there never was said. That sounded really bad. What I meant by banging is I was going to hit the phone on the desk, see if the sound comes back. That do anything? Can y'all hear me? Can anyone hear me? Can anyone? Can you hear me? Agreeable. You actually are a bit luckier because, you know, I mean, Doge, at least you have a brother. I had to wait 20 years before I actually had one show up in my life, and I hardly ever see him because, well, he's with a person I no longer really speak to much. Y'all know who it is, so I don't have to say it. But, like, yeah, I have a, I have a little brother. It's just that there's a 20-year age gap. So, like, by the time he's my age, I'll be close to 39 to 40. Because I'm 19 now. So by the time he's 19, I'll be 39. Okay? So, by the time 2030 rolls around, that'll be... 2030, I think, will be when he's 10. So that'll mean, well, actually, no. No, I wouldn't be 40, would I? No. Now I'm damn it, now I'm confused. Let's see, I think 2030 would make my little brother 10. And of course then, I'd be 30. Yeah, that would make sense. So 2030 would be when he's 10 years old. 2040 would make him 20, and so on. So it's like my age times 10. Because I was born in 2000, so my age number climbs with the year. In other words, so like 2005, I was 5 years old. 2008, I was 8 years old. 2015, 15 years old, and so on. 2020, I'll be 20 this November. And I actually don't know what to do for, that event. For my 19th, all I did was go out to eat. Like that's the thing. I don't like sitting in one place for too long. I like to go somewhere, but it's just like all this stuff I'm interested in and like to do are just stuff my parents don't have an interest in or can't do because the places I want to go are just too far of a drive. I'm sorry, y'all. I hate it. I hate this damn pandemic. And I hate the people who allowed it to go on for as long as it did. And it ain't just one side of politics either, nor one government that allowed it to go out of hand. Okay? Those who care about which political side can say what the hell they want. But at the end of the day, I blame all the political parties and all the governments because they're the ones who didn't take proper action. They're the ones who allowed this to get out of hand. And now, they're the ones who are just using it as a way to get political bargaining chips. And all we're doing is suffering from it. And yet, nobody seems to give a damn. I tell you, there's some days that go by where I think to myself, just how free are we really? You know? Like, are we truly as free as the Constitution says we are? Because it seems like nowadays we don't have much freedom. We say we're free all we like, but at the end of the day, we really don't have that much freedom. Because there's always someone or something controlling some aspect of our lives, you know it? Between jobs and whatnot, that's one thing. But I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to make ends meet, so that's understandable. Something I wish one person in my family would actually look into. Seriously. Again, you know who they are, I'm not saying names. It's something I want to look into because, yes, I like to do photography, for instance, but that's not exactly a very viable career right now. In the middle of the pandemic, you can't exactly get... Let me say this, okay? I like to do photography, but when a pandemic like this shows up, there is no way in hell that I'm able to display my work. So... you can kind of see what I'm getting at. That's not my photography is not exactly a very viable career, so to speak. And now the thing is like, yes, I like to do it as a hobby. I don't know if I'd ever do it full time as a business. Like, would I sell some copies of my photographs? Yes. Would I do it full time, all time? No, because it would burn me out. And sure, I'd probably do it like most artists who do stuff that they love as a hobby, where whenever there's a festival every once in a blue moon, I might have maybe a few things of mine on display for sale. But as far as me doing it full time or contracting, I don't know if I'd be able to do that because, well, y'all have seen my photography, so, I'll let y'all be the judge of it. But the fact is I think I'm too humble, because, like, I see other photographers' work and I'm blown away by it, but yet, when I see my work, I feel that it's inferior. I mean, sure, there's like one or two photos I've taken that I feel are good, but not every photograph you take is going to exactly be the next Mona Lisa, you know it? Not every photograph is going to be like the next O. Winston Link, in a sense. You can't exactly recreate that person's work like they did and expect it to be as well known as that person's work. If anything, if I were to do it, it would be more in a tribute to kind of what sense. You know it, like, you can't exactly recreate O. Winston Link's work, for instance. You can recreate it as in a tribute form, but you can't recreate it exactly, because simply too much has changed since, the 1950s. For one, so it's near to impossible to recreate the photos. Sure, some of the locations may still have some remnant of what was there, but you're not going to have the full picture, so to speak. So, yeah. Well, I'm glad you looked at that video, Via, because that cruise ship is now being destroyed in a scrapyard in Turkey. Yeah, Carnival Fantasy is kind of... Yeah, let me just say the fantasy is dead. In other words, Carnival Fantasy is being scrapped up in Turkey right now. So, yeah, that's a good example of preservation right there. My videos of that ship, as well as the videos and photos of every other passenger who's toured that thing over the past 30 years... have essentially preserved that ship, and that is a good case of where if you didn't document it then, it would be gone the next. In other words, Carnival Fantasy is now officially a physical real world example of be sure to document it now because it could be gone soon after. That's exactly the case with Carnival Fantasy because Carnival Fantasy was the last ship I sailed on before crap hit the fan. And, yeah, it's now currently being cut up, being destroyed. So, I'm now glad I documented it as thoroughly as I did. Because, essentially, everything you're seeing in the videos that I filmed on that ship is probably already gone. So, yeah. I mean, yeah. Mr. Minecraft. Doge, let me tell you something. I wouldn't exactly recommend Penn Station since they basically destroyed the original, but if you're in New York, Doge, I recommend visiting not Penn Station. I recommend visiting Grand Central Terminal. That's the one that lucked out. Okay? And if you're in New Jersey, I recommend checking out Hoboken Terminal, and I think there's another terminal. It was one that the Long Island used. They sent their trains across the water. I don't think that's Hoboken Terminal. It's another terminal. They've closed the actual train shed, but the station building itself has been preserved. But I don't remember the name. Nice. All I can say, Doge, is I hope you're able to come down to Georgia. We'd love to have you. Yeah. But I will say this, though. Like, Doge, I don't think you'd have to wait 7 years. If you asked your parents, hey, do you think we could all go to, like, Georgia for, like, a trip or something? I don't think they would, I don't think they would exactly say no. But it would be something y'all could work towards. If you could save up however amount of money, X amount of money each week for that specific trip, then y'all could do it. And let me tell you, Athens is getting a ton of new hotels despite the going on. And, well, if you ever come down here, just let me know. Because I do know of a good amount of railfan locations around here. Because the main railroad that goes through Athens is CSX, and it goes through on the Abbeville subdivision. And I've railfanned that subdivision from Athens to Elberton, and from Athens to Lawrenceville. So essentially, I've railfanned it from Elberton all the way nearly to Atlanta. I haven't railfanned it in Atlanta, and don't expect me to go there because it's a nightmare to drive there, believe me. And let me tell you, I-85 is a nightmare for even the most experienced drivers, okay? Even my grandmother has problems going on it. Alright? And she's been driving for 50 years. More than 50. So, yeah. I mean, it's like if you ever came down here to Athens, I could take you about as far as Lawrenceville. If not Decula. But not Atlanta. Sorry. You'd be better off flying in there and checking it out for yourself. Oh, Lord, Jesse actually got footage of some of the trains there. Yeah. I helped him out with that. He got a ton of Amtrak trains. One of them even had some Pennsy passenger cars on the back. So, he lucked out on that one. Oh God, Via, many times. I've been in Spaghetti Junction more than anybody. because my grandmother and I travel a lot by road, so we have to drive through Atlanta. Like, most, if not all, of the major trips we have gone on by car, at some point or another, have to go through at least some part of Atlanta or somewhere nearby Atlanta. Yeah, because it's like Nashville. We had to drive through Atlanta to get to Nashville. Oh, don't. The only NS Heritage units I've ever caught were the Pennsylvania Heritage unit and then the Shadow Bonnet 4003. And that was the only recent one I caught. I caught it in Norcross at the Crossing Steakhouse, which I recommend actually going to. If any of y'all are ever in Norcross, I recommend eating there. The food's fantastic. It's pricey now, but let me tell you, by God, it is worth it. And I've been meaning to go back up there anyway because I did want to try and talk to the owners about getting at least one of my photos on display there. And I was thinking of displaying the only other framed photograph I have of Challenger 3977. It's a photograph I took of it in North Platte. And I was hoping maybe if I could sell it because they had a bunch of other photographers' railroad-related artwork on display there. And they had like one opening. At least when I went. It's probably closed now, so I'll have to ask when they'll have another opening. But that's the only other, as of late, that's the only other place they was interested in my work. So that tells you just how much everything is dried up art-wise for me. And yet, I'm still taking pictures. Hell, I've got probably over 1,000 photos by now, just in Series 5. I only counted up all the total number of photos I've ever taken once. And what you see in that is what's in that, retrospective video that has all of my photos from some of the earliest ones straight up to Series 4. I didn't include Series 5 for obvious reasons. But, yeah. There's that. And I will say, since I've been able to get the video project thing and that photos in my computer's photo thing working again, I think I know what I'm going to have to do. I have a video concerning a home in Lexington that I need to put together. I've got a lot of videos of that home in Lexington that I need to put together. So I say it's about time I do it. Almighty Judge, have you noticed that New Jersey Transit is usually where you can find a lot of the rarer railroad equipment? In other words, it's like when everybody else is sending their equipment to the scrapper or selling it off to other companies, New Jersey Transit's like, nah, we'll just run it for as long as we can until it craps out. Like, you saw that with the Pennsylvania GG1s. You saw that with the Delaware Lackawanna and Western Electric cars. You saw it with the old F7s and FL9s. You saw it with the F40s. You saw it with the AEM 7s. You saw it with the E60s, or whatever those things were, the electric locomotives that Amtrak got rid of. I mean, New Jersey Transit is basically, I guess you could say, one of those holdout railroads, which holds on to their old power for about as long as they can. Like, hell, they even held out on their U-34CHs for a while. And I think even now one still exists. 3372 or 4272, I think was its number back then. I don't know. Nice. Oof. Wait, really? Wait, Doge, how does New Jersey Transit still own one E60? That makes no sense. I thought they just, like, didn't they give it to a museum or something? Like, I know Amtrak saved one. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, God. Oh, boy. No, it's fine. I'm just a man rambling about his problems. Actually, Doge, they don't. I think if you look, I think they actually gave it to a museum, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. It says, I think, when I last looked at the E60, I think they only said two were ever saved. It'd be interesting if they could, restore one of the E60s back to use, but I think with all the mechanical problems they had, I don't think it would be possible. It's like, but what I will say, out of all of the electric locomotives that used to run here in the U.S., I'd personally love to see a GG1 brought back into service. At least one. That's essentially the 4014 of the electric locomotive world, and a lot of people said rebuilding a big boy wasn't possible. Well, Ed Dickens proved them wrong. I hope somebody can do the same as far as the GG1 is concerned. And I mean, the thing is like, I don't care if they have to gut the engine of its original electrical system in order to get it running again, but if that's what it takes, I'm perfectly fine with it. Okay? Because, you know, it's like a building, okay? I don't care if they gut its entire interior, but just keep the original exterior, you know it? Because if there's simply no way to restore the original interior to how it would have looked or worked, then, it's better to simply gut it or remodel it to make it have a new, more modern use, if that makes sense. I mean, they could do that with a GG1. Because they've done that with vintage diesels. Like, they preserved the exterior, but they put a whole new diesel power plant into it. You know it? They put a whole new diesel plant into the locomotive, and that extends its working life each time. Yeah, as a heritage unit. Wait a minute. What do you mean 8212 is being converted back to NS? Are you talking about they're going to send it to, like, scrap it or something? Doge? You might want to contact the Illinois Railroad Museum and ask them about buying that locomotive off the railroad. Because if that's one of the last C38-7s in service, well, then they need to get it before it clunks out and yeah. No, Mr. Minecraft, I didn't. Wait a minute. Oh, God. Is that the one that had the model Southern Pacific 462s that were running on, like, an excursion railroad out in California? Because, I mean, to be fair, I'm not surprised about the fire, seeing as everything in California is going up in flames. But I didn't know about that. Hold on. Let me see if there's a way I can look. Yep. That makes sense. Well, shit. Was that fire due to arson, or was it the wildfire that's been destroying everything? Oh well. Well, seeing as it's 12 o'clock in the midnight, I'm probably going to go and end the stream, alright? So I'll see y'all later, alright?